Good afternoon. Welcome and thank you for coming. We have a great program for you this afternoon. My name is Ellen Fox and I'm the HOA president this year. And we want to just take a moment to introduce Pastor Phillips. He's going to walk us through an invocation. Just a quick reminder that today's meeting is being recorded and streamlined live, and it'll be available for playback both on the HOA website and also on the Toqua Church website. Pastor?
Let us pray. Well, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We're thankful for every seat that has been filled here, for each mind, each heart that fills the presence of this room. We thank you. You've given each of us talents, each of us abilities, us all time to work. However, you and you alone can only see the perfect detail in the end of every beginning. Every project, every season of life, every life that we have, nothing is ever in vain, for even our mistakes and missteps are used for your good. Father, may your righteousness transcend all of our efforts and understanding. Bless this meeting today, all those present, as well as the lives of those who we will encounter afterward. Ready us to make every moment count. It's in your Son's precious and holy name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Again, a slide behind. I'll catch up and get better at this. But we just really want to thank the church. This is such a magnificent facility, and for them to let all the different groups in the village use it is just great. So we're going to give you a quick update on HOA by myself and Linda Klein. Marcia Herzog's going to give you an update on Teleco Life. We've got a pretty dynamic team giving you an update on the POA, some of the accomplishments in 2018, and the 2019 goals. Dave Hudgens will give us an update from Stayin' TV, Becky Hale from the library. And now that we've got the election era behind us, we're going to go back to a practice of inviting one of the local charitable organizations to introduce themselves each time. And we're lucky enough to have Joe Beal giving us an update on the Teleco Community Foundation today. After that, we'll do questions and answers for everybody. So if you can hold your questions and answers to then, it would be great. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce the 2019 board, who is lucky enough to be serving in our 30th anniversary year. So if you're part of the HOA board, if you would just stand and let people know who you are. You can read the names. They're also on the website, so I'm not going to take the time today to go through all of that. But thank you, everybody, for the volunteer efforts you do. Linda Klein is one of that board this year. She's our treasurer, and she's going to quickly walk you through the financial summary for 2018.
As you can see on the monitor, membership dues was $25,120.29. This also represents our big drive that we do in October to get into our 2019 membership. And this, of course, happens every year. There will be the next year on to some of the years that get paid in 2018, or the next year as it goes. Social activities, $1,855.08, which came to a total of $135,410.37. The administrative expenses, $9,428.06. Communications, $2,216.83. Membership expenses, $1,990.44. Social activities disbursements, $1,000 $113,912.08, and that, of course, represents all the tickets you buy and all the things that we have to pay out that we get from the income that we get up above. And as it looks higher because we probably paid out some tickets that were coming up in January that we had to pay in December. So that's why the figures will not ever really balance out. And then other was $383.53, with a total of $127,930.24, with a net income of $7,479.43 for 2018. If anyone has any questions or want to check with anything, I'm always welcome for anyone to contact me, and we can go over anything that they'd like to know. Thanks.
Thanks, Linda. So it's hard to boil down some of the accomplishments of 2018, but a couple big highlights. Many of you know we offered an option on renewing membership online with credit card at a discount, and that was significant because that basically eliminates the volunteer time required to do that task. And we certainly care about our members. We also really care about the volunteers that make HOA work. So for the 96% of you that renewed that way, thank you very much. That's a big deal for us helping with our volunteer efforts. Last year, HOA ran 127 different social events by the event coordinators. Very impressive. We had a very successful advocacy effort by the TDOT Ad Hoc Committee, which is also joint with the POA and the HOA. Really designing things, supporting it. We got 10 additions when they repave 444 that are normally not in the TDOT scope. And yes, there are a few things still left on the 444 project, and they're in the works. We'll get some updates out on that soon. We had an awful lot of candidates come, all the local ones, most of the state ones came here to speak and introduce themselves to us. We redesigned the Neighborhood Watch program, the surveys, we widened our media presence, and we joined something called the Lenore City Committee of 100. And that's a group in Lenore City looking at designing amenities, future developments there. And we join that and want to participate so we know what's going on, and kind of in the future, if and where applicable, we can advocate for the members. A couple of our 2019 goals. We have a survey out that's open for a few more days, asking for your communication preferences and what activities you mostly want to go to and attend. It'll really help us tailor what we offer for you. So if you haven't yet completed it, we really do want your input, please. We're adding more social to our socials. We're making them a little more interactive. If you haven't been for a while, I would come check out some of the things Linda Ferrugio is doing. They're a lot more fun and pretty interesting. We're offering some larger events. One this Saturday night at the Yacht Club's actually got 171 attendees. As HOA grows, we're trying to scale up some of the events whenever we can so we can have less of you not be able to get into the events we offer. We've got some very relevant general meetings coming up. You might want to save the date of March 14th with an update on cybersecurity and POA marketing. We're looking at additional ways to advocate for you, working on improving communications with the POA. The Highway Ad Hoc Committee will take over where TDOT ended. And we changed the name because now we need to also work with Loudoun County, some other officials. It's no longer mostly just TDOT. HOA formed another ad hoc committee, be led by Marcia Herzog, the East Tennessee Bridge Project. Again, we want to be involved in the future plans so we know what to communicate to you, keep you updated on, and advocate for. And very important to me, we're examining the HOA volunteer roles to reduce and automate the time required so that's less laborious for people. I now have the pleasure of introducing Marcia Herzog, who is the Teleco Life Lead. Marcia?
Thanks, Ellen. And thanks for the opportunity to address you here today. Teleco Life, as many of you know, is www.telecolife.org. And it's our website that we created actually very recently in 2017 with the vision to be the place to go, the online place to go, to find out all the activities and events within Teleco Village. The vision is that by connecting us as villagers that are very active in the community with the clubs and organizations that we participate in, and making that connection on one website where you can see the events, activities, missions, objectives of each of those clubs and organizations, that we can make it easier for all of us to participate in the events and easier for our organizations to drive membership in those organizations. So I said we were founded in 2017, so we're really very new. And the way we got founded was the HOA asked us to look for an online membership management system, some way for the HOA with its growing membership to be able to manage that membership database online, register online for events, and pay for events online. So it was really that drive from making the HOA administration much easier that spawned the idea of Teleco Life. And what happened was, as we formed this committee to take a look at software that could do this for us, we realized that the software we were looking at really could support multiple clubs and organizations within the village. And if we do that, well, perhaps it has an advantage for both villagers and the organizations and clubs that we participate in. For villagers, it gives us one place to go. It gives us one way to sign up for events, one way to manage our membership. And for the clubs and organizations, it takes some of the administrative activities out of managing your clubs, as well as driving more traffic and visibility to your clubs because you get more villagers that can come see it. So we really created this idea of wanting to create it by the villagers for the villagers. So while the HOA was kind enough to sponsor the initial investments required to get Teleco Life up and running, the intent is for it to be run by a consortium, a founding group of villagers that are making sure that it serves the village as a whole. So with a partnership, and it truly is an equal partnership between the HOA, the Computer Users Club, New Villagers, and Stay in TV, we formed a board that included the leaders from each of those clubs. We formed a steering team that is the arms and the legs, the working team of that board, and the administrative team that executes and does the hands-on work within Teleco Village. So there were a lot of early conversations about how to make it work one way consistently for everybody that it needed to represent. And that came to a business model where we created it as free for individuals, but asking the clubs and organizations that participate in Teleco Life to pay a nominal fee based on how much services they're going to use, strictly to cover the cost of the software. The Teleco Life is run as a committee under the HOA charter, so it's nonprofit like the HOA is. So we're never going to make any money trying to use Teleco Life, but we wanted to collect enough money to fund the cost of the software, so that's what the participation is. It's free to individuals, and we also wanted to make it very open. So you don't need to sign on to Teleco Life in order to use Teleco Life, in order to see the information and events that are out there. You only need to sign on in order to transact business on Teleco Life. So if you want to renew your membership, if you want to sign up for one of the many events that are on the calendar, those kinds of things, it needs to know who you are, and that's the only reason you need to sign on. So if you haven't been to Teleco Life recently, I would suggest that you take the time to take a quick look at it, www.telecolife.org. It's very easy to find. And you'll find that during our first full year of operation, we're really proud of the growth and the way that we've been embraced by the organizations around in the community and the individuals. We ended up 2018 serving 37 clubs and organizations, many of the largest organizations within the village. There are over 3,000 households that use Teleco Life, and there are over 5,500 individuals that are on Teleco Life. We hosted, or we communicated 620 events on the combined calendar. And if you think about that, creating one calendar where everybody can go and see what's going on in the village, both to figure out what you as individuals want to attend, but when you're also sponsoring an event with a club and organization, wouldn't it be nice to see what else is going on that might draw your participants some other way? So getting this single calendar is really a core of what we're trying to do. We get a lot of looks. Last year we averaged over 1,200 sessions per week, and that means a session is any time you or I sign on and start to do things in Teleco Life to look. Of those 1,200 sessions, we actually averaged over 6,000 page views per week. So that means that every time one of us went online to look at Teleco Life, we were looking at 4, 5, 6, 8 pages. We stay there an average of about 5 minutes to understand and see what's going on. So that's a pretty high usage rate, and we're really pleased that all of the response that we've had from you as the village. And as Ellen said, we're actually up to 96% of the HOA memberships were paid by credit card through Teleco Life. So that really means that the idea of self-managing and reducing a number of the administrative time and managing the clubs and activities that we all are involved in really is welcome, is possible to be embraced through the village. So we were really glad to see that high level of self-sign-up. These are the logos of the clubs and organizations that are currently active on Teleco Life. And you'll see that I do say clubs and organizations, because some people say, well, it's only for clubs. Well, yes, there's clubs like the Art Guild or TV Hikers or Village Vets or the Fishing Club that are on Teleco Life, but you'll see about half of the organizations participating are actually organizations, including most of the churches, including this wonderful facility that we're in, is participating in Teleco Life, St. Thomas, and others. Many of the community service, United Way, Kiwanis, Good Sam, all those areas. So again, take a look at Teleco Life and see what you can see. This year, 2019, our focus is to add 10 to 20 clubs. We've actually added 6 clubs already since the start of 2019. So I'd like to welcome the Fishing Club, the Pickleball Club, let me just check my list, right? The Soggy Bottom Kayakers, so soon we'll see the kayaking hikes on Teleco Live, which will be great. And then most recently, the POA is coming on board. In addition to the rec department, which is already on board with the schedules of the classes and activities over at the rec center, the POA and the general administrative side is coming on board, so we'll have visibility to the board meetings and all of the committee meetings and those kinds of things, and hopefully it'll drive more participation in those meetings from the village. And then the golf. Jim is excited to bring POA golf on board, so we'll have visibility on the calendar of the activities, tournaments, and those kinds of things that are going on with golf. So we welcome those too. In addition, our objective is to increase the value to the individuals, all of you, us villagers, of using Teleco Life by making its design better as the year goes on, and to improve your self-service, your comfort with the self-service and the capability to do it. So as you see things that you like, as you see things that you can't find, we're very interested in your feedback because we're continually tweaking the design to make it better for you to use things. We want to increase the value to the organizations that use Teleco Life, the participating organizations, both through the design there so that we drive more traffic to your organization so you get the value of participating in Teleco Life by attracting new members, attracting volunteers, all those kinds of things that you might be trying to do. And we want to make sure that it's helping you reduce the administrative time so that you can spend as an organization your time doing the things that you do best in hosting your activities and driving your membership rather than keeping track of all the nuts and bolts within it. And lastly but not least, we want to expand our leadership team. We're run by volunteers within the village who manage all the content within Teleco Life, and we're looking to expand that team significantly this year. So if you're interested in participating in some of the creativity and fun that goes in making this site all it can be for our village, we'd welcome you to participate with us. It's not a technical job, it's very much a creative kind of job. So that's all I wanted to update with you today. Again, it's www.telecolife.org. And if you have comments, questions, concerns, because we can address some of those concerns, don't hesitate to send us an email at info@telecolife.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcia. I did want to just acknowledge that one of our local representatives is here in our audience today, and Mr. Henry Cullen, who looks out for us. And thank you, Henry, for coming and participating today. Bruce, maybe you can start for the POA, please.
The POA welcomes the opportunity to meet with you folks time to time, and we're glad to see you're out and about. You're not frozen, that you're doing well, and that we're glad you're here so that we can share some information with you. Before we start, I'd like to introduce some of the POA staff as well as board members that are here. So if you would stand, board members. I think I see Cap, and I see Rick Blau, Cap Purvis, and I see Steve, right? And I see Pat White, and I didn't see the other ones. Oh, you're too short back there. And that's our newest member, Carla Johnson. So, board, we're glad you're here. And now as far as our staff, we have Winston Blazer, our general manager. We have Mitzi Lane, the deputy or the assistant general manager. I guess I just promoted you, see? And then I have Parker Owen, who is our CFO. And we have Jeff Gagley here, over here to our left. Stand up, Jeff. And then I think I saw some folks here from TVB. If you'll stand up. Keith. Did I not see Keith? I thought I did earlier. But anyway, if I missed any of you, I'm sorry, but they're out doing a hard job, I'm quite sure. So what we want to do tonight was catch you up on what we were able to get accomplished in 2018, some of the highlights. That will be covered by Winston, and then I will talk about some of the things that the board's thinking about for 19, and then I believe Mitzi was supposed to come up and talk about continuous improvement, but I'm going to ask her to let me go ahead and do the update on the long-range plan, and if you don't mind, and then we will have Parker Owen come up and talk to you about the financial health of the village and some financial considerations. I will apologize early. Let me tell you that I won't be able to be with you the whole evening. I am going to be leaving around 5:30, and I've got to go downtown and be downtown by 7 o'clock. And I promised Brenda that I would be out of here by 5:30. So we're going downtown. If you guys haven't done, we're going downtown to see Violins of Hope. If you know what that is, that's the violins and all that was associated with the Holocaust. So we're going down to see that tonight, and it was a conflict, but pushing the envelope here, but hopefully we'll get done and we'll get out of here. And I'm quite sure that the 5 other board members that are here will be just chomping at the bits to answer the questions when they come later in the evening. So sorry about that, board, but I know you can do it. Okay, so we'll start with Winston.
Thank you, Bruce. My name is Winston Blazer, General Manager of the POA, and I was given very specific instructions. I didn't have very long to talk, so this is going to be quick and brief, but I wanted to cover some of the highlights of 2018, and this is just a few of them. This is not all of them, but these are some things I thought stood out in my mind I wanted to share with you this afternoon. CI, which stands for Continuous Improvement, has been in existence now for 7 years, and it's a program that Mitzi's going to cover in more detail later. But I'm just very proud of the fact that the employees of the association have engineered over $1 million in savings. And they hit the $1 million mark, $1,045,000 to be exact. And that is money that's back to you guys. Okay. I'm not skilled at this part. Also, marketing is an area I wanted to cover. I can remember before we had any kind of a dedicated marketing program, we would have the occasional people that would come by the POA office and inquire about lots, homes, life in the village and information like that. And several years ago, the board wanted to implement a more formal program, begin that. In 2018, we had over 8,000 people come through the doors of the Wellness Center for one reason or another to check on life in Tellico Village. That is a very monumental number, I think. Very good for you guys. It tells me that we're doing something right, because of that 8,000 visitors, attributed to the marketing program, 238 homes were sold out of a total of 387 homes that were listed on MLS. That's over 61% of the sales in the village that can be correlated back to this marketing program. And that is a very good sign for you and your assets that you live in here in the village. And we're trying to keep that up, and I believe the board was very wise in that decision. Also, we permitted 159 new homes. When I started work here, we had less than 800 homes. Now, with that 159, we're over 4,300 homes in the village, which puts us at 2/3 build out. So your village is growing quite healthy, and you are 2/3 of the way of being filled up if you want to look at percentages that way. Another program that I'm very excited about, Simon Bradbury, our rec manager, has been on board for 2 years. Took him a year to get up to speed with my organization and working with the board and so forth. But this last year, he and his chain gang created 5 more miles of trails. We have a total of 14 miles of trails in the village that is basically attributed to the hard work of a lot of volunteers and Simon. 10 here in the main village, 4 in Kahite. Before his existence, we had very little of that, but he's very big into the walking. And this is also something that we've learned through long-range planning over the last 10 years, is a very important element to the people that are looking at retirement. Also, we introduced paddleboard, so if you have not paddleboard before, you need to call the rec department and get on board with that. And kayaking, we have those down at the docks, and you can sign up for those programs, and you can experience the lake from a whole different perspective. And it's also a very energetic and a good way to get some exercise. This year was also something that was very monumental. The Toqua Clubhouse and the Kahite Community Center finally made it over the hill and approved. And it will be constructed this year and will be opened up this year. The Toqua Clubhouse, I've seen on the board table for no less than 10 years. And thanks to this board, 2018 board, finally got it up over the hill, got it approved, and got it underway. And for those that are really interested, the double wide, the temporary pro shop is in place over at the Toqua to the east end of the parking lot. The move will be made tomorrow or Saturday, and then it'll be business as usual come Sunday and Monday. So we're making progress. Another would be Summit Medical. Now, I know the Summit Medical building opened up in the fall of 2017, but the first anniversary was last year. And this is a project that I've been working on ever since we broke ground on the Wellness Center. So this has been in my basket of to-do lists for many, many years. So I kind of have a very personal interest in this. Late last year, I checked with Ed Curtis, the CEO of Summit Medical Group, and I just told him I wanted to know honestly, how's it going? What's the usage? And he's not going to share numbers with me, but he told me that they are ahead of their anticipated business plan, that they were already making money at the location, and the doctor has been well received, and that it's been going so well that they've added cardiology, dermatology, vascular care, and therapeutics. So things are growing up there, and I can imagine that myself and the board will probably be getting a knock on the door in 2 or 3 or 4 more years requesting an expansion to that building, but that's a wait and see on that. And then last but not least is something I wanted to bring up that I had very little to do with, but I'm very appreciative, and I'm sure many of you that travel in and out of Lenore City and Knoxville and so forth are glad to see done. The bridge and the Highway 444, I want to thank all those that had input that gave guidance to TDOT. That's a very nice drive, and I'm very appreciative of all that work. So thank you very much.
Okay, I am up next, and I will be talking about the forerunner, or input to our goals for 2019. Board met yesterday in executive session, and then we had our open board meeting, and basically I polled the board and asked them to submit areas of interest, if you will, that things that they would like to see happen or work on in the year 2019. And this is a very energetic board. And so as a result of that, I got a long list of things that we're all interested in seeing happen, and I'll go over those with you. And our plan is, over the next 2 weeks, is to boil this down to a set of goals that we will then present to you, the village, at our workshop in February. That will be February the 5th, I believe, somewhere in there. And but we'll boil those down, and we'll present them, and then we will work in earnest to make those happen. Now, having said that, the other things that don't quite show up in goals, they will be things that we will be working on with the staff to make sure that we're moving that ball a little further down the hill as we go forward. So some of these things I'll talk to you can see very quickly. They are operational in nature. Some are strategic in nature. Our goals will probably be more strategic, but we will not forget the operational side, and we'll work with the POA staff to make those happen as well. Obviously, the first two is something that Winston talked about, the Toqua Clubhouse as well as the Kahite Community Center. They were approved last year, and I believe it was in December, and they were included in the budget for this year. We have approved the contracts. Contracts were awarded, and it's underway, as Winston mentioned. We've moved things. We're getting things. Now, from a board standpoint, we are committed to making these projects come in on time and within budget. Let me say that again: on time and within budget. I could be like President Bush and say, read my lips, but I won't go there, okay? But we are committed to making that happen. If we get behind a little bit here, always the question is, for Jeff and his group, is how you gonna make that time up? And so we're committed to it. Same way with the completing the renovations of the Wellness Center. We started those in 2018. We have the new HVAC in place that will be the huge dehumidifier, if you will, that will keep the building from deteriorating like it has over the last 5 years or so because of the greenhouse effect that we had in the building and the chemicals, et cetera. So that's in place. We will wait until later this year to put a new roof on the place, and we'll be doing that somewhere in the August timeframe. But we're committed, we're tracking. We're having Winston update us at every meeting that we're in, and we are pushing to make these things happen on time. If you're new to the village, you know what it's like to go through the Blue Book with your builder, whatnot, to try to get things. It is a problem. That's the best I can say. Things are in various sections of the book, and it's hard to follow. If you're in the village and been here for a while, and you're in the process of renovating, or if you want other things, you see the same problem. So last year or so, Steve Trudak and his group started looking at that as part of the ACC, and they have come up with some structural changes, et cetera, et cetera. And so our goal this year, or we want to get that finished so that when you pick up the Blue Book, either electronically or in paper, it's easy to find things in there, and you know where to go to find things that you're trying to do, putting a new roof on or putting solar panels on, et cetera. And so we're in the process of updating that. Now, a close companion of that is as the village grows and as we start filling up these lots and these interior lots, we have drainage problems and we have runoff, trees are disappearing, so this beautiful place that you used to see that was wooded, it's thinning out. As you can imagine, what happens when you start building 150 homes a year or so. So there's obviously some concern in the village of what are we going to do to make sure that we're abiding by green, keeping this village green. And so we will be looking at that. What do we need to add to the Blue Book, either as an appendix or a new document that was said, here's the things that we want to do to make sure that the village remains beautiful and it is environmentally on track to be environmentally friendly community, if you will. So we will be working those issues. In addition to that, we found that when we went through the process of approving the projects for Toqua and Kahite, as well as some work we did up at the Wellness Center, we found that, and we also did a study this past year that found that we do have problems with space, meaning meeting rooms, as well as parking. But what we found was, as much as anything, we have a scheduling problem, and so we'll be working that. But we also found that in the future, per working with our long-range planning group, we know that we're going to be doing other amenities as we age, as we grow. We're going to need more of this and more of this and more of this. So not only do we have to look to see if we can financially do these things, we actually have to find places to put these things. And Pat White reminds us that we need to start at the north end of 444 and go all the way down past, I get these trails wrong over in Kahite, but we need to follow those trails to the end, and we need to look at all of our facilities to make sure that what can be done at each site. Are we landlocked? Can we, or if we expand the building, can we expand parking to go with it, et cetera? So we're going to do a study that shows us at each one of these locations what we have, what can be added, et cetera. And so we want to track what we can do in the future as we grow. Communications. Several years ago, when I was elected to the board for first time, one of my pledges was we would try to be as open as possible, and I hope that I have been open as possible. So I basically think, for example, now, and I've been reminded by our newest board member, as well as some of the ones that came on last year, that we can always do a better job of communicating. If not, people get on Next Door Neighbor and they tell us what the POA is doing instead of us telling the people what the POA is doing. So what we need to do is a better job of getting information to you or making it readily accessible through the internet with tabs or whatever, so that we can get up and you can find the information and we can push it to you as well as you pulling it. So we promise that we're going to take a look, see what we can do to be able to communicate with you in a better fashion. Last year's budget cycle, we went through it in the process of approving the amenities, as well as making sure that we had money to do the roads and to look at our sewer system and all those kinds of things in the infrastructure. Reminded us that, that we don't have pockets that are all that deep. And as a result of that, you saw what we had to do this year. We had to raise the assessments. So what we need to do is look to see what we're going to be doing in the future, and then we need to see how much we need to be setting aside so that we can replace Chota Center after so many years, or we can add more parking lots, things of that nature. So Steve Schneider on the board is really chomping at the bits to get after this, and I'm quite sure that that will in some way become one of our goals this year. So along with that, we do a great job every year of putting our budget together, and all of the department heads have all the minutia behind it on the onesies and twosies that go together and make the threesies and foursies. And as a result of that, when we put a budget out there, when you see it, you don't see the onesies and twosies, you just see the result. So what we need to do as a board is we need to make sure that those onesies and twosies out there, not only are we spending money and spending it on time and properly, but we need to see, are we getting things done that we said we're going to get done? And so we need ways, as Steve has pointed out, we need non-financial indicators. Big word, right? Big words. But it's something we need to do to make sure that we're spending your money effectively and we're getting the results that we had planned for. We do have an HR type guy on our board, Mr. Rick Blau, and he keeps us honest, and he basically says that, you know, we ask these people to participate in our committees, and we asked you to run for the board, but we make the process of applying for this a little cumbersome with our application process. So he said we need to streamline that, and we need to beef up the interview process so that we're getting people to apply and we're getting the right people in the right places. So I think we're going to be looking at that in addition to making it easier for you to run for the board. So all you guys, raise your hand now if you want to run for the board and tell us how much easier we want that process of applying to be, right? So that's what we're going to do. Last two bullets, we have started working on those. Last year, we have worked with our local government, the county commission, the county mayor. We've worked with our state legislatures on some of our needs. We had some meet and greet meetings last year during the campaign season. It's just so that we could educate our leaders and let them know our concerns, let them know our needs, and then ask them where they could to help us. We'll continue that this year, which is the last two bullets. Basically, we want to reach out and meet with them more frequently so we can share our information. We've done that before and we'll continue to do it. We've met with the city manager of Loudon. We've met with the mayor of Lenoir City, met with the mayor of the county, met with the commission. A perfect example of that is the accomplishments that we made when we were able to help the county, and they helped us in return by doing a win-win situation on the lot sales. There's more of that to come. We can work together to make this a better community and to help the village along the way. What we need also is an education program, if you will, political, to let you folks in the village know what's going on in the county. Henry does a good job of going on TVB and telling us every once in a while, but you guys need to know the impact that this village is having, and we need your feedback, and we need you guys to get involved. And so that's what we're going to be looking at doing this year. And by way of kind of whetting your appetite, I thought tonight I would share with you some of the information so that you can kind of see where we're going with this and see if you might be interested in serving on our political education committee that we're going to form. So I'll start out by asking you, did you know that there are approximately 8,400 people in the village? That number puts us larger than Lenoir City and Loudon. We are a big community. We are not a city, we're a community, but we are big. Did you know that the estimated household expenditures, the ones you make in the surrounding area, are over about $86 million a year? And trickle-down effect of that is, meaning when you spend that money and it just goes down and goes down and goes down, that we have about a $600 million a year impact economically in this community. Did you know that there are over 1,000 people in this general area that either are hired directly or indirectly by the POA? That's our permanent employees as well as our part-time employees, as well as other people that we have coming in here and doing things for us, okay? And did you know that the economic impact of building the 156 homes 159, that's a misprint, that we did last year is over $56 million. That's assuming that a house costs on average about $350,000 to build. So just by building 159 homes, that's $56 million coming into this surrounding area. That's all because of the people moving to Toqua Village. And did you know that as a result of those people coming in here and building, that the annual tax collections in the county as a result of us building houses and paying property tax goes up every year about $257,000. Now, what does that mean? Henry will tell you. That means that we don't have to raise taxes in the county because the county is growing. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because we are part of Loudoun County, and we want Loudoun County to do well. Did you know that Toqua villagers in the Loudoun County part pay over $7.6 million in property taxes every year? That's a lot of money. Did you know that the villagers pay, for every home that we build, we pay an additional $300,000 in a facility tax annually? Okay? And did you know that in return for all of this economic impact we have in the county, we get very little? Now, in the past, we've asked for very little, okay? Things are changing, and we need to work with the county and tell the county that we need your help. Now, I've talked to Henry before, and I know Henry and the rest of the commission say they'd love to help us, and I promise you, I'm sure they would. But they're bound by law that they say they can't because of what we are. Now, I know, having in the Army Corps of Engineers and in the Governmental Accounting Office in my federal career, I know laws can be changed. I helped write legislation for civil works projects, and I helped when I was in GAO to write legislation as well. So I know laws can be changed. We just need to see what's the proper way of getting these done. If it turns out they can't be done, then that's just the case. But if you don't go there, you don't know until you go there. And so that's part of the process that we're going through, and that we want to change. And the way you change that is getting involved, knowing your county commissioners and working with us, working with them, et cetera, so that we can try to make some changes, okay? You can't do it if you don't get involved. Now, last year in last year's election, we have 8,500 people, on average, 2,000 people voted. That is not being involved, okay? So whether you being involved by voting or you be involved by participating in this political education program, we need you to get involved. We need to flex our muscle. We have muscle. We need to flex it. So it's time for us to get involved. And the way we, the board, intend to help you guys get involved is that we don't want to get into telling you who to vote for or anything like that. That's not what we're all about. We just want to educate you on what's going on, what the problems are, and see if we can't get some help. We're going to start by forming a political education committee, and that will probably be somewhere in the 5 to 7 people range. Those people will be tasked with working closely with our local governments, both in the county and the cities surrounding us, as well as the state legislature. And the committee will also be keeping you aware of what's going on in local politics as well as state. So you'll see more about this. I just wanted to introduce it, let you know that we are going to be doing something different this year than we've done in the past, and that we hope you will embrace it, and we hope that you will get involved. So with that being said, I think that ends my presentation, and I'm going to skip ahead to the long-range planning. Put on my other hat that I look like Bart Magocius, don't I? Don't I favor him a little bit? And that, or Wayne Enderly. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those. And I asked Wayne if I made this presentation update for him, would anyone from long-range planning be here? And I see Ms. Kirk here, Susan Kirk. Is anyone else from the long-range planning committee here? So Susan, I hope that you will be around to answer questions when they come up about the thing. So let me say that with that last year, if you recall, the long-range planning committee did a survey. And that survey went out, and over 40% of the people in the village participated. And those 40, it boiled down to 5 areas that were top 5 priorities. And those being finances, people kept saying, we're interested in, that's number 1, the finances of the village. Number 2 was the vision for the future of the village. Where are we going with this village, especially with the growth and the change in demographics? Number 4 was growth, obviously. People concerned about growth. Some people would rather not see another person move here, you know? And some people would love to see this every lot in the village sold. So somewhere in the middle is the answer, and what are we doing to keep up with growth? That's a lot of concerns. Recreational amenities. You know, we have a lot of amenities, and they are used quite extensively, but everywhere you go, somebody wants bocce ball, somebody wants shuffleboard, so there's always somebody that wants something else. So how do we stay ahead of the changing demographics, and how do we stay ahead and make sure that we are offering the kinds of recreational activities that we need? So those are an area of concern for the people that participated. And last but not least is something I got into earlier. Are we keeping the village beautiful? Are we keeping it green? Are we running down? We're 30 years old, but I think if you look around, you would not recognize this as a 30-year-old village. You see how healthy and vibrant it is. So a lot of concern about that. There's with the growth, how are we going to do that? So what they did was they, instead of just taking the answers, to validate those answers, they formed 10 focus groups. And each focus, those focus groups, we had 2 focus groups pay attention to one of those 5 priorities, independent of each other. And so they went through that process. They completed that last week, I think, Susan. And now what they're doing is they're compiling all that information, and then somewhere in the second quarter of this year, they're going to come to the board and say, here's the results of this, and the board's going to take a look at it and say, great, or whatever, and then we're going to use that as a roadmap to how to keep us going down the road and keep us being the village that everybody wants it to be. So I just bring this to you a little bit to let you know that for those that participated in that survey, it didn't die on the vine. It is still going, and it's still going strong. And over the next several months, you're going to hear more about the results, and you're going to see a rollout of that. And we, the board, will then decide how we're going to make these things happen through our annual budgets and through the things that we do even during the current budget year. So with that said, I'm going to turn it back to Mitzi. And Mitzi, you can talk about continuous improvement.
Thank you. Which way did you go? This is the black one?
This is the black one, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I think the common theme today has been we'd like to take this opportunity to thank Ellen and the HOA for giving us this time to speak on behalf of what we do here at the POA. I actually began working at the POA in 2004. Since then, I've worn many hats. I've seen many of you and worked on special projects with many of you. But what I want to talk about today is something that I'm very passionate about, and it's our continuous improvement program. Winston kind of stole my thunder earlier when he told you how much we'd saved in the lifespan, but what I'd like to do today is actually highlight two projects that went on in 2018, both of them of which are still continuing in 2019, so we will see the savings again this year. As you'll see here in this picture, in 2018 we presented a ceremonial check to the board on behalf of the management and staff in the amount of $160,000. You may have recently seen an article in The Connection that went out, and if so, I'm sorry if this is redundant, because these two projects that I want to highlight were just recently in the article. See if I can get this to go forward. The first one is a cloud-based system on telephones for all of our POA facilities. Originally, we used a phone system that was a traditional Bell South PBX long distance kind of service. Well, this one is actually a voice over IP system. We went through Verizon on this. That eliminates any of our long distance charges. So basically the bulk of the savings we're seeing is from the elimination of long distance charges. So basically we're calling long distance for free. That savings alone was $70,000 last year in 2018. So that was a big project. Our IT manager is Kevin Alfont. He initiated that. And of course the savings, of course overall were great for 2018. The next project is actually, it was initiated by Parker Owen, our Chief Financial Officer. You'll hear from him shortly. He worked with our Human Resources Manager, Chris Carter, to get this project underway. We moved away from a fixed rate insurance quote and plan to one that has a lower initial premium, and we, the POA, assume part of the risk of loss. On that fixed rate program, you kind of guarantee your loss for the year ceiling, and you tend to pay more because you've got a limit to pay. So Parker was actually quoted to say that, in fact, because the POA was willing to go to this lower premium and share some of the risk, it proved that our loss experience was so low, we ended up saving a substantial amount of savings in 2018. That project also is going to be carried forward into 2019, and you will see some savings there against our budget. One final thing, I don't actually have a bullet, and I apologize, I thought about it as I was sitting here, just to give you a flavor of one of the big projects we have coming on this year in 2019. It's actually a utility billing. It's a paperless process that we're putting into place. Many of our residents now are becoming much more tech savvy, and they're going to these electronic payments and online bill payments. We will actually see moving forward that this was a great opportunity for us to jump on board with that, and you'll see a great savings this year coming out of our accounting department. So we're really proud of that. So here it just shows you from each year, 2012, all the way up until last year. And of course, as we mentioned, we reached our $1 million mark this year as far as the savings goes on the life of the program. One thing, again, I don't have on there, and I apologize, for 2019, I've challenged the managers, and our goal for this year will be to bring back to the association $165,000 in savings. What we do is, that says it's put into the reserve accounts, and at the end of every year, the board looks at the accounts and determines which reserve account would be best fitted for these savings. In years past, I know that we've put that money into the amenity reserve fund, and of course we can use that savings for things such as this Kahite annex replacement and the Toqua clubhouse replacement. So at this time, I don't know if I'll just say, here you go, Parker. Or it says stay. There we go. There we go.
Well, thank you. And my topic on your agenda is POA financing challenges. I can't possibly cover that entire topic in the time allotted, so I decided to take a slice of that challenge and talk a little bit about reserves, how those reserves are funded, what that money is used for, and you'll also get a little bit of a sense of the trade-offs that staff and the board made as we went through the budget process this year. We're very proud of the financial strength and stability of Tellico Village. Here we are over 30 years old, and we provided good quality amenities, good quality infrastructure, and found a way to pay for those in a manner which is affordable. We also, though, have to plan for the future and for the unexpected, and that's where reserve funds come into play. Each year's budget is subjected to rigorous review and evaluation, both by the staff, Finance Advisory Committee, and the Board of Directors. Make sure we obtain good value for the resources that you've entrusted to us. One element of that budget that does receive a lot of attention is our reserve funding. And if you're not aware of it, there are 6 reserves. They're listed on the slide here, and I'll touch just briefly on each of those in turn. The reserves basically are used to accumulate funds for future projects like new amenities, to provide a cushion to absorb some of the bumps in the road, maybe some unexpected projects that cropped up or emergencies that had to be dealt with outside of our budget. And also there's a kind of a holding account that's used to accumulate funds for the annual Tellico Reservoir Development Agency lease payment. That's a mouthful, you may not be aware, but we have a lease agreement with TRDA, as it's called, that basically pays for the land that we occupy in terms of common property and also some of the buildings that are part of the village. A couple of years ago, that lease was renegotiated away from an operating lease, basically where we were paying rent, and converted that to a capital lease whereby eventually we will own the land. And so that's a very important distinction that needs to be made and understood. But TRDA lease right now costs $400,000 per year. Used to be escalating, no longer escalates, and that will eventually, we will be owners of the land that we occupy. But backing up just a moment, the top of the list, and the one that's receiving a lot of attention currently, is the Repairs and Maintenance Reserve Fund. The R&M Reserve is one of the 3 largest reserves, along with the Amenity Reserve and the Water and Sewer Reserve. These different reserves get funded differently. Some of them get funded from your assessment that you pay monthly. Some of them get funded from user fees. So there's some important distinctions we need to make there. R&M, though, is funded from the assessment. In 2018, the R&M reserve received 13% of your net collectible assessments, and that's abbreviated NCA on the slide. Couldn't write that all out. Net collectible assessments, that means the assessment rate times the number of parcels or lots or homes that are actually paying that assessment, and it's net of any POA-owned lots or doubtful accounts. So I look at the cash actually coming in the door. In round numbers, there's about 6,000 performing lots or 6,000 paying owners. So we take that assessment money as it comes in. In 2018, 13% of that amount went to the R&M reserve. And that had been adequate for a long period of time. That number had been fairly stable. But as we got into the details of the budget process, looking at 2019, and then especially looking beyond 2019, we realized that that funding level was not adequate. So we made some changes. That was indeed one of the factors that led to the board, well, it first led to staff recommending and the board agreeing that the full 5% assessment rate increase was needed and justified for 2019 and perhaps beyond, but that decision gets made 1 year at a time. In 2019, this reserve fund will be funded at 17.25% of net collectible assessment. So, that's a 4.25 point increase between 18 and 19. And thereafter, 2020 and beyond, we built into the plan a funding level of 20.75%. So you see, just in the space of 2 years, we're recognizing that we are going to be faced with more and more maintenance projects, particularly road work. That's really one of the keys that's driving that R&M reserve funding level. So 2020 and beyond, over 20% of your assessment money will be going into the reserve. Now, money goes in and money comes out every year in the R&M reserve. But what we try to do is make sure that that funding level is sufficient to maintain an adequate balance in that reserve. And at the moment, we're looking at around $1 million, give or take, balance in the R&M reserve. I can tell you in advance that is going to get drawn down in 2019. We've got significant amounts for road work, roughly $1 million. Previously, we mentioned the new dehumidifier and repairs to the Wellness Center, $570,000 all in. And so that's going to draw that reserve down to probably something on the order of $250,000 by the end of 2019. It will rebuild. 2019 is a big road work year. So we're looking at what's actually needed for roads, and we'll be making some adjustments to that as the engineers get involved and advise us what we need to do. But make no mistake that R&M is a key focus of village finances this coming year. Now, the amenity reserve is one that we have funded for the last several years at 4.5% of your net collectible assessment. It is set up to save up money for future amenities. And so the future is now. We are just about to begin construction on the new Toqua Clubhouse, on the Kahite Community Center, and about 60% of that money is coming from the Amenity Reserve Fund. That's money that's been saved up over about 4 or 5 years' time, and more money will be added to that reserve in 2019, and then drawn down to pay some of the construction draws on the clubhouse projects. At the end of this year, that reserve will be virtually drained. Okay, but you look out in the 5-year plan, there are no new multi-million-dollar type amenities or demands that we are having to save for. There's some smaller projects, and they can be funded out of future additions to the amenity reserve. That's the way we've operated for a number of years, in that the Wellness Center, for example, money was saved up in advance of that project, and then the rest of it was borrowed. The time the Wellness Center was completed, the note on that project was a little over $2 million. That note today is in the $300,000 range. So it's almost paid off. It'll be paid off in mid-year 2020. And no doubt we'll have a note-burning celebration of some sort to recognize that milestone. Now, knowing that we are completing or just about to begin construction and will complete 2 major new amenities, we're shifting our focus. So that 4.5% of your assessment that had been going to the amenity reserve is now going to be diverted to the R&M reserve. So that's where that extra money, that difference between 17.25% and 20.75%, it's diverting 3.5 points from the amenity reserve toward the R&M reserve. That's in future years. Water and Sewer Reserve is our third major reserve fund. We typically keep around $1 million, give or take, in that reserve. But there's a difference here. The Water and Sewer Reserve is not funded from the assessment. It's funded from water and sewer user fees. So the people that use the water and sewer system pay for the water and sewer system and put money into the reserves for water and sewer. It's funded by 2 sources. Roughly 5% of your water and sewer bill goes into the Water and Sewer Reserve Fund. Also, when a new home gets permitted and constructed and water and sewer connections are made to tap into that system, then the owner of that new home will have actually pays up front, those connection fees to buy into the water and sewer system that is already in place. So they didn't pay for it until they build a house and connect into it, but once you get a house under construction, you do pay into the Water and Sewer Reserve Fund. And then from that reserve fund, all of the water and sewer capital projects and some of the major maintenance is paid out of that fund. So again, money goes in, money comes out each and every year. We have one of the smaller reserves is the dock reserve fund. It is fully funded from dock and personal watercraft rental rates or rental fees. Currently about 16.25% of the dock rentals and 8.25% of the PWC rentals go into that reserve, and they're used for capital and major maintenance projects coming back out of that reserve. So docks pay for what docks use. There's a small safety reserve fund, kind of a carryover actually from past practices with the Tellico Village Volunteer Fire Department. At one time, the POA built up funds in that reserve to pay for major new equipment, like a new fire truck, or the last one that was done actually was the expansion of the fire hall. That was, I think, in 2012, thereabouts. We renegotiated the contract with the fire department. They are now paying for all of their capital needs out of the contract payments that we make to the fire department, plus their own fundraising within the community. So the POA is not currently adding any more money to the safety reserve, but it's available to meet safety-related needs within the village. And I mentioned the TRDA Reserve Fund, kind of a holding account. I put 1/12 of that $400,000 into it each month. So come December, when the $400,000 bill comes due, I have money in the bank to pay for that. In summary, the point of this discussion is that reserves are managed as an integral part of the budget process. We save up and pay for a large part of our new amenities out of those reserves. And where we can't save it all up in advance, we do take out some new bank financing, some new debt to pay for long-lived projects. You just simply can't save up enough to pay entirely from cash. I know we've covered a lot of ground in a short period of time. I will mention that for those of you that are interested, there's a one-page handout available on your way out. Didn't want to give it to you in advance because you would have read that and not listened to me. So pick it up on the way out if you're so inclined. And I thank you for your time and attention. Tellico Village is in great shape, and you've got a beautiful place to live. Thanks.
Thank you, Bruce, Winston, Mitzi, and Parker. Next, I'd like to invite up Dave Hudgens, who is going to give us an update on Stay in TV.
Thank you, Ellen. Just so you know, Stay in TV has absolutely nothing to do with television. You'd be surprised. Our intrepid president, Scott Mathett, would likely be presenting this afternoon, but unfortunately he was called away to spend the week in Florida. Two other members of our board are here. Our treasurer, Chris Garner, Chris in the back, and our secretary and all-around guru, Kathy Milam. I don't know if anyone else, I don't think anyone else. Okay, hit the button. Stay in TV is an aging in place project here in Tellico Village. Many of you are familiar with it and have used our services. It's part of a national movement to help seniors live in their residences as long as possible. Our job is to identify changing needs of the people here and spearhead some actions. Our volunteers do the work, and donations keep us going. It's a mission that's simple but can be complex. Stay was formed in 2011 in the fertile mind of one Linda Comp, who also is a past president of the HOA. Linda told me she was going to be here. Are you here, Linda? Interestingly, that she's not here. She had to leave Tellico Village, ironically. She could not stay in Tellico Village. and the organization she formed went on without her. Her husband was ailing. He has since passed, and she was aging in place in Michigan, but she just bought a new RV, I found out earlier today. So instead of aging in place, she apparently will age in motion. And life goes on. Let's see, home maintenance, primary service programs, home maintenance run by Fred Gibson. Rides, Chris Garner also runs rides. Groceries and errands, Judy Leach runs that. And our newest program, respite care, is run by two retired nurses, Marilyn Hawkey and Marty Toms, and they do an amazing job. We also have some reference materials. Some of you are familiar with the Resource Guide for Seniors, which is on our website. We also have the Planning for Lifestyle Changes Roadmap, and that was the basis for the Lifestyle Planning Forum we had right here in this room last July, covering end-of-life issues. We had a funeral home, financial representative, and the legal presentations, and that was well received, and I think we're going to do it again. Back to home maintenance for a second. We have about 40 volunteer handymen. They average about 20 calls a month. About 30% of the folks are so grateful they give us some money. Average donation is about $30. Maybe our most popular service, and most of the tasks we take on are relatively simple, like replacing a light switch, changing smoke detector batteries, or installing a grab bar in the shower. And I have to stress, these must be simple because I'm also one of the handymen. Handyman visit also helps us be on the lookout for slip and fall hazards in the home. We can call attention. A rides program took off last year under Chris Garner's leadership, more than double 2017, 30 drivers, more than 700 driver hours. It's a critical service for somebody who can no longer drive or doesn't want to leave the village in their vehicle. Respite care, our newest program, gives long-term caregivers a break. And caregiving often is a 24/7 effort, which many of you know about, that can wear very heavily on the caregiver. And we talk about client abuse. I asked Marilyn about that the other day. She said, well, imagine you're caring for a dementia patient and they continually ask what time it is. And that sounds silly, but it's the kind of thing that can be just very wearing and wear the patience of even the most loving caregiver. So she tells the caregivers to don't just go to an appointment, go to a doctor's appointment, go to someplace you have to be, go have some fun somewhere, and just get yourself unhooked from your responsibilities, taking care of that individual in the home. We had 11 people in the program, 2 have passed away, 11 moved on to assisted living, several moved on to assisted living, and we now have 4 clients. We're training 3 more volunteers next month. 2 of them are males, and we need more male volunteers because males relate better to males. Here's some not so fun facts about aging. By 2028, and this is from, I believe, from the Long Range Planning Committee, nearly half of Tellico Village will be over age 75. By age 75, 68% of women and 25% of men are widowed. Cognitive impairment increases with age, and we know a lot of this. Some 2/3 of Americans with Alzheimer's are women, and at age 75 to 85, 45% of folks had one or more disabilities. Show of hands, how many of you are over 75 or older? I want you to know that this is the age when you are no longer able to die young. And for those of you who are already older than that, as I am, we could take comfort that right now, 80 is the new 60. Here's another effort that we're doing, and not a lot of people know about it. Thank you. I have 2 minutes, so I got to quit quickly. Adult daytime assistance is patterned after the CADES program at the Methodist Church in Concord. Caregiver delivers the client. It's a homey, sociable atmosphere. Stay in TV was working with area churches and especially Christ Our Savior Lutheran. We're going to call this Our Place, we think. Nobody likes the term adult daycare, but this process represents another way to provide a respite to an overtaxed caregiver. And it provides a change of scenery for the client or the patient. We can't promise the exact timing of this, but we have a committee that's hard at work at it. And Chris Garner, again, is working hard on that, looking at staffing and furniture and equipment acquisition and licensing and more to come. Tied to all of this is the possibility of a senior center in the village, a place where older folks could hang out, socialize, maybe play cards, do crafts, or shoot pool. We have a dream, Henry. More later, stay tuned. In the meantime, help us help neighbors. Volunteer, call the number and leave a message. Help spread the word, and remember when you're seeing folks who might need our help, remember that a lot of the times the caregiver is just too proud to ask. Just that way. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Next up, we've got Becky Hale, who's going to give us an update on the library.
Well, I want to tell you about a place where you don't need a tea time, you don't need a handicap, there's no pecking order, and everyone's on the same playing field. So welcome to the public library at Toqua Village. You may not know this, or as Ruth said, did you know, that our library actually was started in the year 1987 by a group of small book lovers who wanted to swap books in the village. Well, they swapped homes, even met at the rec center, but finally when the yacht club opened, they gave us a little corner in that, and that's how we got started. So by 1995, the Friends were incorporated. We started out with 95 chartered members. Today we have 1,000 households. In 1997, they first leased a place for us to house our books, and that's up at the Lakeside Plaza where the Playhouse is now. That was also the year that we were able to become a part of the Loudoun County Library System. That was also the same year that they hired their first employee, somebody by the name of Becky Hale. So after about 13 years of fundraising and having events and membership is the staple of our financial situation. Let me tell you, it is. So if you're not a member of the Friends, we would urge you, it's an annual donation to the library. It helps keep our doors open. So it wasn't until the year 2012 that we opened our library, where we are now, and we are very proud of our 6,400 square feet. We are what's called a LEEDS certified building, which means we are leaders in environment and energy design. Today, we operate 46 hours a week. We have a paid staff that are Loudoun County employees, but they live in the village, one full-time and one part-time person. We have 42 village residents that help run the volunteer desk, not the volunteer desk, excuse me, the circulation desk. And today we have over 7,725 registered users that use our library. We have a state-of-the-art computer lab, as you can see here, a children's area, a conference room, which we do rent out, and that is a picture of our annex where we have storage, and we also sort our annual books there. Now, just a reminder, this is our 25th anniversary for the book sale, and it will be on the 25th of April, so keep that in mind. You'll be seeing flyers on that pretty soon. That's a picture of our courtyard. You can rent that also. We have a lot of outdoor activity there. People rent it. They have parties, anniversary parties. And also in the middle is a way we raise money. There's a courtyard that you can buy bricks for. We also have a PA system that you can rent there. A little bit about our services here. Now, with your free library card, you have access to free ebooks. It's a statewide database, so that's where some of your money and your taxes go. We have newspapers, the Wall Street Journal, all the way down to all of the local newspapers. This is where you get your name badges. We have all kinds of electronic media there, DVDs, CDs, magazines, medical research. One of the programs that we have, I haven't got listed here, is we have delivery, home delivery for shut-ins, and we have delivery to almost every assisted living facility in Loudoun County. Interlibrary loans. If we don't have the book in our library, we'll be glad to get it for you. Drop off your old eyeglasses, hearing aids. We'll give them to the Lions Club for you. We have seasonal nonprofits like Toys for Tots that we do, and let's see, what was the United Way was the other one. Also, you can pay your HOA dues there if you want to pay by check. It's a little cheaper if you go to Toqua Life and do it. Voter registration by mail, and also please visit our website. It's going to tell you just about everything that I'm telling you today, and it's not limited to 10 minutes they gave me. So, anyhow. We serve Loudoun County and the surrounding areas. Many of the village businesses have employees that use our library. So we service everybody that either lives or works inside this area. We are the only library in the state of Tennessee that is privately funded. Now by that I mean most of the funds that are associated with the cost of running the library are paid for by the Friends of the Library. This is a group of extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. And by extraordinary things, what I mean is it was the Friends who went out and obtained the USDA loan, $1.5 million, to build the library as you see it today. With that also came the mortgage. We pay $5,886 every month to keep this library open for you. We are here to serve you. The county, as I said before, pays for the employees. We have a full-time and a part-time employee. And the POA gives a stipend to the Loudoun County Library Board in our behalf each year. Private gifts, like you see here, our giving tree that's located in the narthex of the library. We still have leaves available there that you can remember people, and all that goes to helping our library function. Grants. Unfortunately, there are no grants for bricks and mortar out there, but we do get grants to service our programs for the library. Achievements in 2018. We had a summer reading program here in Tellico Village. We also did the same program at the Boys and Girls School in Lenoir City. We received the largest state tech grant that was given to libraries this year. It was so much appreciated, and it was such an innovative program that the Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, our state representative, our Loudoun County Mayor, and our Commissioner all came to present the check to us. The grant involved buying 16 iPads that the library owns, but we use them with STEM teachers to teach the children and tutor the children at the Girls and Boys School in Lenoir City. You can be proud of what your library is doing. Additional services that we added this year is something called the backpack. It's called a literacy backpack. If you don't have toys at your house for your grandchildren, nieces and nephew that come visit, you can come and check out one of these backpacks. And then that backpack is a whole backyard full of activity. So they're theme related. They have electronic media in them. And there's even a card in there that gives you hints on how to interact with the children. And most importantly, there's a lot of hints for early literacy in those backpacks. Something we did different this year also is the Hummel telescope. You can check the telescope out and have a night of stargazing in the village. You can check it out for over a week, actually. So, that's all good news, isn't it? Then it happened, August this year. 6 inches of rain in a matter of a couple of hours caused rainwater to flood our library. It destroyed all of the carpet, 16 inches of drywall and insulation. We were devastated. You know what made it worse? Our insurance didn't cover it. So, we put out a plea to the public with damages soaring up to $60,000, and that didn't even include the repair of the water runoff problem. Countless individuals, I forgot to do this. Countless individuals and organizations responded with gracious and immediate monetary support, helped us move back into our library. We were closed for about 8 weeks. I think this reflects your understanding and the importance of the public library in Tellico Village. We raised over $100,000. So please accept our endearing and grateful, heartfelt appreciation for all your generous kindness. Thank you for your loyalty to the library. And remember that we are here for you, providing services, materials, and events, and technology as it is expected and deserved by our caring community. We have some goals for next year. We'd like to recruit some new board members. It is a volunteer position also, so if you're interested, you can see me or our new president this year, Carolyn Page. Of course, we want our membership to increase. As I said earlier, our membership is running about 1,000 households, and that's really good for a small library like ours, but we still have to depend on that to pay our bills. We also are looking at facility protection, as we should be. We are cautiously evaluating and planning for service contracts to protect our facility and keep disasters at bay. Some of the things that we're planning for next year, I don't know, maybe you've heard, little free library houses. They're little boxes of shelves shaped like houses with a door on them that go out and will be put out in different areas of the county. What we want to do is partner with the Habitat Village and put these houses, we'll use the books from our donations that we get that we don't put in our book sale, and put these houses out in the community. And also the woodworkers have also joined in on that program. Now, we have applied for a grant to help us with this, but you know what? I think we're going to do it anyway. We'll make it happen. I think it's worthwhile to reach out so that we're making a difference not only inside the village, but outside the village. We are also going to request another part-time employee from Loudoun County, so we're going to try to get that 2% that someone mentioned earlier from our taxes. And also the possibility of a seed library. It's where you come and borrow seeds from the library and then you go plant them, and then when the plant seeds, you bring the seeds back to us. So we don't know how it's going to work, but it's an idea, and I think a pretty inventive idea. So just remember that your library is here for you. We're here to serve you. So thank you for allowing me to tell our story. Come check us out.
Thank you, Becky. And now our last presenter, Joe Beal, will talk about Tellico Community Foundation.
That's a hard act to follow, isn't it? Just want you to know the Tellico Community Foundation believes in the library. In the last year, we have made 2 grants to the library. One was to upgrade the computing capability of the library, but we also, like many of you, came to the aid of the library during its disastrous rebuild. So we're grateful. And Becky's already ticked off a couple of ideas for us to support in the coming year. That literary backpack for children and the little library houses might tick a few boxes with us. So keep us in mind when you need some funding for that. Background on the Tellico Community Foundation: it started near the end of 2016. A bunch of us were thinking about how best we could serve our community. One of the roles that I have in the community is I'm also a firefighter and first responder. And coming into many houses, it became evident that there are a number of seniors, obviously, in the community and many people in need. And so we felt like was there something we could do together throughout the community, through a community of donors, if you will, to serve Tellico Village, Loudoun County, and Monroe County. And eventually it turned into an affiliated fund of the East Tennessee Foundation. We became an affiliated fund simply because we recognized that we could act as a full-fledged foundation in receiving funds and granting funds, but at the same time we wanted a partner that would help us invest those funds and take on the fiduciary responsibility of the gifts that you give us. So that affiliation with the East Tennessee Foundation has helped us. If you don't know who that organization is, they're a foundation which has over 500 funds that they manage. I believe it's over $500 million of investments and funds that they manage. They also serve 25 counties in the eastern part of this state. So they're very vibrant, they're very smart in what they do, and they're exceedingly helpful to us because of their experience in working with community organizations. And one of our goals and guiding principles is to working with other organizations to make an impact in our community. Going back to the slides, the mission is we exist to help people in need. And if you see our tagline, we want to leave a legacy for better lives here in this community. We want to evaluate community needs, working with other organizations, meet unmet needs, and create opportunities, and I hope I do that today, create opportunities for charitable giving to the foundation and to other charities that are most important to you. We spent the considerable part of the early part of last year trying to focus on what are the most important things that we could pay attention to and support. And we came through and decided on 4 areas of support: early childhood literacy, support for seniors, the opioid crisis, and community enrichment. And the library, support for the library to us supports the community enrichment component. In early childhood literacy, we funded the Lenoir City Family Resource Center with a grant for books and activity kits for preschool children. The nice part about what you can do working with other organizations is the Family Resource Center in Lenoir City leveraged our gift with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library and increased a number of many times over the numbers of dollars and books that they could bring into the community. The support for seniors is obvious. We want to focus our attention on those people in our community that are in need, whether it's in Loudoun County or Monroe County. And the opioid crisis is a partnership with the East Tennessee Foundation. It's the most important critical thing that's going on in our country today, serious needs, and there's, if you don't think it's happening in Tellico Village or in Loudoun or Monroe County, it is. We do have a crisis, and we want to find a way that we could do our small part into solving that problem in East Tennessee, and then the community enrichment. If you make a gift to the Tellico Community Foundation, here's what we do with it. 60% of every gift that we receive we use for grant making. 40% is building an endowment so that 15 years from now, 20 years from now, there'll be an endowment that's managed by the East Tennessee Foundation that will continually have money for support of projects that exist at that point in time. Our newest grant is a partnership with an organization called the Senior Citizens Home Assistance Services. I'm going to make a request right now. We're looking, it's a project that will do an assessment for families to see what they need in order to live independently in their home. Many of the homes that we go into as firefighters, we can observe that there are some things that could be helped if everyone had an assessment and knew from a professional what they could do to continue to live independently. Unfortunately, because of our ethical requirements of not breaching any ethical or HIPAA violations, we can't identify those families as a firefighting organization or first responders. So my request of you is if you or anyone that you know of would value or could use a case assessment or case management, a free one through this grant with the Senior Citizens Home and Assistance Services, please let us know. You can find us on Toqua Life, and I wanted to say that Marcia Herzog is also a board member, as well as John Bordelon, and Jerry Fox is in the audience today. So please, if you know of a family, please advise them of this opportunity to receive a free assessment, whether it's to help them figure out what services they might need and how to access those services. We are asking for your help to do that. What can you continue to do for help? Consider making a gift to the foundation today. If it's not the foundation, to your favorite charity. As a society, America is the most generous society in the world. We give away over $300 billion a year in philanthropy and charity. And so please, if you're not considering a gift today, consider it tomorrow. But the library could use your support, as well as others, as well as our foundation. Tell your friends about the Toqua Community Foundation, that it exists. It's here to help them, and we'll find a way to support their favorite ideas. Attend one of our educational forums. Throughout the year, we are going to be sponsoring a series of forums to educate our community on what's going on in each of our 4 focus areas. And I saw a big raising of hands earlier. If you're 70, that's not 701/2. It's if you're 70 and a half and you have a traditional IRA, you have a significant opportunity to make gifts to your favorite charities right now. As you know, you have a required minimum distribution, and the law has been changed to a permanent opportunity that you can give away directly from your IRA to your favorite charity up to $100,000 at any point in time, and you can make it directly to that charity. We have some information on the table outside that you can access. It'll give you a step-by-step process. We advise you to talk to your financial advisors, but for seniors that have an IRA, it's so simple, and with the new tax law, you might not be able to take credit for your charitable deductions, but this is one way that you can receive support and a tax break in doing that. That's all I have. If you have any questions, we'll be waiting here for Ellen to close the show, I think, huh?
Thank you, everybody. That was really informative. That was great. We've now got Annette and Sue. If you do have a question for any of the speakers or related to any of the topics, please raise your hand. They'll come to you. I'm in the back. Shauna's got one. And while they're running to Shauna, just a quick one to save March 14th, another hot general meeting on cybersecurity and the Toqua Village marketing performance.
I have a question to direct to either Mitzi or Parker. When you mentioned improvement project highlights and the savings that was related to insurance premiums, I just wondered, we all have insurance to protect big losses, and you said that you're saving money and taking on more risk, and I just wondered what risk we're taking on to save money.
Okay. Are we good? Okay. Yeah, the choice that we made, this was on our health insurance plan. And for many years, we have taken out what I would call a guaranteed loss policy. In other words, you pay a premium, and that's the end of it. The insurance company provides the prescribed benefits. The employee and their family, in this case, pays their deductibles, co-pays, and so forth. What we learned is that there is an opportunity for some savings by taking out what's called a high deductible policy combined with a health reimbursement arrangement. Okay, health reimbursement arrangement. And what it means is that the POA is assuming the risk in the middle ground. It's not unlimited, there's a cap on it. So it's that area between the deductible that everyone has to meet before the insurance even kicks in, and the out-of-pocket maximum, which is sort of the ceiling on the loss that an employee might incur. So it's not an unlimited risk. It's that middle ground between the deductible and the cap. And based on some advice of our insurance consultants and some other research that we did, we felt that there was opportunity for savings there. And indeed, it played out exactly like that. The insurance consultants estimated a dollar amount that they felt we might be at risk, this HRA spend, as they called it. They estimated for 2018 that might be about $92,000. Turned out that it came in $43,000 less than that. So we not only saved money on the premiums going in, but our loss experience for the year 2018 was better than had been predicted. And we've already seen on our renewal going forward into 2019 that has had a dampening impact on the rates that we, the POA, are paying for our employees' insurance going forward. So far so good. It's been a good program. It's also revealing to us how much the insurance company is actually paying out on our behalf in terms of benefits. And that was information that we did not have before. So better transparency, lower cost, and so far a very good experience. And there is a limit to the risk. It's not an unlimited risk that we're taking on.
Any other questions? Sue?
Seems like it's taken about 30 years to get to two-thirds of the goal towards build-out. How long do you anticipate until build-out actually occurs?
I can't talk till this turns green, but it's a very good question. Long-range planning is taking a good hard look at that. My general statement about we're two-thirds built out, 33 years to get there at that point. There's many people that own two lots, their neighboring lots and so forth. There's lots that are going to be very difficult and expensive to build on. So when you take all that into consideration, and I'm just going to kind of take a very big guess at this, we're looking at 20, 25 years, because as we go on out, the difficulty, cost, and complexity to build increases. The first houses are the easiest to build, and then it just kind of, will slowly ease over to the more complicated and expensive. But stay tuned. Long-range planning is taking a good long look at that, doing a very deep analysis into that, and so that'll be some information that comes forward. But we still have ways to go.
Sue, on the other side.
Earlier, you said that this session was being recorded and would be available, and you said that the slides would be available, but you didn't say where or when.
It'll be on the in about a week, it'll be available on the HOA website. If you go there, hoatv.org, look under
Is it working? Okay. This question is for Becky Hale. It's regarding the library, and I wanted to know when the free library house project will be initiated, if we have any time frames, and who is the contact person for that?
Okay, the contact person would be our grants person, Phyllis Thompson, and we have just submitted the grant. So, you know, we're not sure what the time frame with that will be. We should know, I guess, it's usually by May. This is a private foundation grant that we've applied for. So you can call Phyllis. I'll give you any information that I have. I would hope we would get something started sometime this summer.
This question for Parker, and this might be something that you have to take on in the future on a couple meetings down the road, but obviously our weather over the last couple of months, the cold weather and the rain, the golf dues and all the revenue that we've been getting from the lack of the play on the golf courses, how has that affected our finances for 2019?
You're right. In fact, I just am putting the finishing touches on an article for the Connection that probably will come out, well, Connection and Board newsletter probably will come out within the next couple of weeks. Sort of my annual top 10 list of top 10 financial stories of 2018. And one of those was the weather. Weather in 2018, we saw a record amount of rainfall. We had over 78 inches of rain recorded at the Kahite golf course alone. And with that, you lose lots of days of play. You not only lose the day that it rains, you lose the day after, at least some of your business, because it typically is cart path only, and our membership doesn't like to play unless they can get off the cart paths and drive closer to their ball. So you get hit twice, the day of the rain and the day after. All that said, in 2018, we were just over 5,200 rounds below budget. Okay, so 5,200 rounds below budget, 4,000 rounds lower than 2017. So, are we going to have another weather event like that in 19? We certainly hope not. But it's unavoidable. I mean, the weather in East Tennessee, it is what it is. Jim West and his golf guys, they do a remarkable job of keeping our courses in good shape and getting them back into playable condition. But a day lost to weather is a day lost forever, and there's just not much way to make up for that. They are paying lots of attention both to rates and ways to entice members to come out and play more, particularly play in the evening, play on the weekends. They've restructured some of the unlimited play to, and this is for like afternoon play and weekend play, restructured some of the rates to try to make it less weather dependent. So once you pay for unlimited, you've paid for that amount of time, whether it rains or not. So that's part of what they're trying to do with the pricing model. But it was a tough hit. About a little over $250,000 lost revenue due to weather events in 2018. So we're hoping for better times in 2019, and we're trying to make arrangements if the worst were to happen.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much for your participation, and here's to the speakers.